Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. President Trump did it. Throw out the 2-week timeline. I told you the 2-week timeline was a diversion. And oh, speaking of diversions, guess what? Our United States military, the greatest in the world, also used a diversion to deceive Iran, any of our enemies who may have picked up our B-2 bombers by sending many of them east instead of west, where the main strike package traveled. We went totally undetected. This strike on Iran tells me America is still the greatest military power on the face of the earth. And then what happens? Then we get the naysayers. Then, of course, we get not just Democrats, but Republicans like Thomas Massey as well, coming out and denouncing President Trump's America First decision to strike Iran. And I'll tell you, it's an America First decision because it's about keeping Americans safe. It may have been the most consequential America First decision this president has ever made. Because, again, it is about keeping Iran from having a nuclear bomb, and it is about keeping America safe. And that's what America First is about. It's about sovereignty through strength. And then we get this situation. The sheriff in L.A. County issues a statement saying in wake of the tragedy of the Iran bombing that their hearts go out to the victims of the bombing. Are you kidding me? The victims of what? Like nuclear scientists? Like atomic bomb makers? So what is up with the LA County Sheriff that would issue such a ridiculous statement and then ultimately edit it out, the tragedy? Still, total lunacy. We're going to go through all of it and really focus on just how proud I am of this administration and their handling of Iran. And where do we move forward with all of this? What's Russia's reaction going to be? What's China's reaction going to be? We'll talk about all of it today on the program. But before we do that, folks, you know my friends over at Colonial Metals Group are totally getting it done. If you have an IRA or 401k and you don't have some of that money in precious metals, I truly believe you are not fully protected. Look, gold is a portfolio protection maneuver. Gold has stood the test of time as a portfolio protection maneuver. We know China, we know Russia, Iran as well, North Korea, all these BRICS nations working on debilitating the U.S. dollar. If that happens over the next few weeks, you're going to wish you had money in gold. So how do you do it? You get with my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They have a free gold guide that's fabulous. It'll go through all the details about owning gold. freegoldguide.com/grant. What do you have to lose? Just read the guide. freegoldguide.com/grant or 800-458-7356. 800-458-7356. Colonial Metals Group, the official metals group of Stinchfield's Army. All right, folks, let's, with that, get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
What an amazing weekend, to say the least. Watching our United States military, and more importantly, learning about what our United States military did, how they carried out these attacks on Iran's 3 nuclear facilities, is nothing short of awe-inspiring. I don't think any other president would have had the intestinal fortitude to do this in the manner that President Trump did. This was, I believe, the second largest B-2 bombing campaign and the longest as far as miles traveled. B-2 bombers, 2 pilots in each plane, fly 17 hours to Iran, refueling along the way, and then flying 17 hours back, never putting wheels on the ground except for the moment they took off in Missouri and the moment they landed in Missouri. These boys are heroes flying these planes, and everybody surrounding them in this operation are heroes. Now, do you ever want to be at a point where you've got to bomb another country? Of course not. Nobody wants this. But I want everyone out there to knock off the talk of somehow this is an act of war. We don't want to be in a prolonged war. I would ask, what war? This isn't a war. This was a strategic operation to take out nuclear facilities, and there's not going to be a war. What is Iran going to do? Close the Straits of Hormuz? This is a very important channel where lots of the world's oil goes through. Guess who gets most of their oil through the Straits of Hormuz? China. Now, if Iran threatens to shut the Straits of Hormuz down, what do you think is going to happen, folks? China's going to be very upset about this, which is why the prospect of China and Russia getting involved in this, I do not believe will happen. So we've got a lot to unpack here today, and I mean a lot, because there is the concern. What do our enemies do? My short answer to that is I don't think they do anything but offer up a lot of bluster, and they weren't even really doing much of that. Now, I told you last week that this 2-week window that the president offered up, if you remember, my direct quote was, don't put any stock in it. He could do it 2 minutes from now. He could do it 2 days from now. And lo and behold, the 2 days was spot on the money. I knew he wasn't going to pussyfoot around this thing for 2 weeks. Not a chance. And so when you look at what the president did, and it really, in many respects, doesn't get any better than this. I want to play for you a clip from President Trump's speech over the weekend. Let's roll cut 2, guys, if you can. Thank you.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
So let me make something very clear here. I believe President Trump's decision to bomb Iran is the most consequential America First decision he has ever had to make during his 2 terms as president. And you hear what I said? This was an America First decision. Do not listen to the idiots like Thomas Massey, the congressman from Kentucky. This is not about getting ourselves into a prolonged war. This is about ensuring that Americans are safe, number one, and our allies are safe, number 2. Yes, Israel is in the most direct line of a nuclear weapon from Iran, but America would be next. Why do you think Iran is creating ballistic missiles? They've got a ballistic missile program, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Why do you think they want intercontinental ballistic missiles if their chief enemy would just be Israel, basically on the same continent? The reason they want intercontinental ballistic missiles is to tie a warhead onto it that is nuclear in nature and launch it over to the United States. That's why. Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget about the terror that Iran has been waging across the globe on American citizens. And a nuclear-armed Iran is a threat to America, a grave threat. Everyone agrees on that. Barack Obama even agreed on that. I think we have a clip from Barack Obama. Give me a thumbs up, Dan, if we do have that clip from Barack Obama. Barack Obama even agreed that and Iran with a nuclear weapon is a threat to America. Do we have it, Dan? Should be the first one in the list that I sent. All right. So as we look for these things, I'm going to tell you. Anybody with common sense, not that Barack Obama had a ton of common sense over the course of his tenure, but I can tell you that yes, even he knew a nuclearized Iran is bad news. All right. President Trump again, cut number 4, if you will, for me, please. Cut 4.
All of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
There's not. And he's right. Now, there are many targets left. Was that a tip-off that there are more strikes to come? I think there most certainly could be more strikes to come, depending on what Iran does now. Remember, President Trump gave Iran 60 days of diplomacy, 60 days to come to the table, 60 days to start talks. And every step of the way, all Iran did was dodge. So now Iran could come to the table again. They're vowing to retaliate against the United States. Already, just hours after these bombs landed in Iran, they started launching missiles at Israel again. I would tread very lightly if I was Iran, because Israel can clean up the rest of this mess on their own. Our B-2s flew into Iran 100% undetected. Not a shot was fired at them. We flew through the night, cloaked in a shield of invisibility. Iran ought to take that as a warning, besides the bombs that landed in their country. Okay, we do have Barack Obama, and Democrats do not want you to hear this audio, folks. This is the last piece of audio they want you to hear.
Because a nuclear Iran is a threat to our national security, and it's a threat to Israel's national security. We cannot afford to have a nuclear arms race in the most volatile region of the world. Iran's a state sponsor of terrorism, and for them to be able to provide nuclear technology to non-state actors, that's unacceptable. And they have said they want to see Israel wiped off the map. So the offers Iran a choice. They can take the diplomatic route and end their nuclear program, or they will have to face a united world and a United States president, me, who said we're not going to take any options off the table.
Folks, this goes back decades. And it was President Trump who finally had the intestinal fortitude to say enough is enough. Now, when something like this happens, what do you think the response from our leaders should be? I would offer up that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, when America and our military is put in harm's way and we've carried out, I think, one of the most strategic, well-carried-out attacks in American history, we ought to rally behind our president, rally behind the United States military, and put our differences aside and say, okay, we are where we are now, so let's support everyone involved that's going to have to make critical decisions going forward. Do you want to hear what the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department offered up? The L.A. County Sheriff's Office offered up, quote, I'm going to quote the tweet from Robert Luna, his department's X account, bombings in Iran. While this tragic event occurred overseas, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is closely monitoring the situation alongside our local, state, and federal partners. Wait a second. Your hearts go out to the victims of what? Like, you talk about nuclear scientists? Your hearts go out to the Ayatollahs? To the leader? What are you talking about? Tragic event? There's nothing tragic about taking out nuclear facilities in Iran, a country, the foremost sponsor of terror. And that's the L.A. County Sheriff's Department? 855-785-8255, 855-785-8255. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all of this. I've got some concerns. Sleeper cells. Joe Biden's open borders were a disaster. And I believe there are Iranian proxy, state-sponsored sleeper cells in the United States, in Los Angeles, cities like New York, Dallas. You know what? We could go through every city in the country. And that's the reality right now. We'll talk about that when we come back. Folks, you know I'm all about making money and making money the easy way, all right? How would you like to get up to 20% annualized income, 20% annualized interest on your investment, income paid to you monthly? This is what Get20Now.com can do for you. It's a company called NFN8. They have industrialized cryptocurrency mining. They're buying electricity so cheap. You invest with them. They, in return, pay you up to 20% annualized interest on your investment, direct deposited into your account every month. It's like cash flow while you sleep. I love this investment. I know the guys. I have invested with them, a sizable amount too, by the way, and they've lived up to their promises every step of the way. So if you don't want to take part in the wild swings of Bitcoin, but you want to get that guaranteed contractually result, Get20Now.com should be for you. I want you to talk to these guys. Talk to them directly. They're good guys. The owners will call you directly. It's not going to be some sales guy. Get20Now.com. Make sure you call them back. Answer their call when they call you. Get20Now.com. Cash flow, baby. Right into your bank account every month. 20% annualized income cannot be beat. So I have some real concerns about how Iran could retaliate. I don't think we're going to see any kind of long, protracted war. There is no way, in my mind, do I see President Trump ever putting boots on the ground. I think that is a scare tactic right now by those on the left who want you to believe that is a possibility. And they do this for one reason. They do it to divide MAGA, and they do it to undermine President Trump. Do not fall for these tricks. Do not fall for mainstream media outlets telling you we're on the verge of World War III. We are not. What did Russia come out and say? Well, yes, they denounced American actions in this. They said they're going to be holding talks with Iran, but that's it. They hold talks with Iran every day. Big deal. China has been largely silent on all of this. Now, one of the big concerns to me is what Iran could do here as far as sleeper cells go. When you think about Joe Biden's open border policies and you think about what he has done with open border policies, he's unleashed a slew of not just criminals, but I also believe terrorists into the United States. How many are here? How many could be activated? What cities need to be concerned? The answer to that question is every city in America. I don't care how small you may be. So our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, basically issued a warning that if Iran retaliates, it's going to be big trouble. And that goes for activating sleeper cells here in the United States, cut 19.
If they retaliate, it'll be the worst mistake they've ever made. Look, we can fly in and out of Iran at will. We went in last night. The president sent our military forces from halfway across the world, went in, conducted this operation, left. Not a shot was fired against us. They didn't even know what had happened. By the time we left, the planes were out of their airspace before they finally started realizing they'd been hit. So it would be a terrible mistake if Iran retaliates. But that's not our goal. We are not declaring war on Iran. We're not looking for war on Iran. But if they attack us, then I think we have capabilities they haven't even seen yet. It would be a terrible mistake on their part. And frankly, it's not what we hope for or wish. What we want now is to ensure that Iran never has nuclear weapons. If what they want is a civil nuclear program where they have power plants like a lot of other countries in the world have, they can do that. That's the deal that's been offered to them. They rejected it. They played us. They tried to play us, I should say. They wouldn't respond to our offers. They disappeared for 10 days. And now, the president had to take action as a response.
All right. So, quote out of there, my takeaway, if Iran retaliates, it will be a terrible mistake. But who put us in this position to have the idea that terrorists could be roaming free in the United States more than we've ever had before? Well, of course, Joe Biden and his lunatic open border friends. So Tom Homan commented on this That's the next clip. Cut 20, guys.
And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking of women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created that over 2 million people crossed the border and got away. That is my biggest concern, and that's what created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen.
All right. That's my biggest concern as well. And you would think that would be the Los Angeles County Sheriff's biggest concern, but apparently he's more concerned for the Ayatollahs in Iran, because the hearts of the L.A. County Sheriff's Department go out to the victims and families impacted. What are you talking about, Sheriff Luna? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And even if this was some rogue insider who made a post like this, it's your policies that would allow a post like this to go out. While this tragic event occurred overseas, that's a direct quote from the L.A. County Sheriff's Office. Are you kidding me? We've got gotaways roaming around L.A. This is probably one of the number 1, number 2, or number 3 cities for a terrorist attack. We're on heightened alert. We got military members across the globe on heightened alert. And Sheriff Luna says his hearts go out to the victims of Iran, which would only be the supreme leader. My Lord, what an idiot. If you want to take solace in anything, take solace in the fact that we have a leader in Washington that's doing his best to keep us safe. If you want to be frightened about anything, be frightened about the fact that we have complete buffoons running this county. Unbelievable. Let's go out to Scott in the high desert on line 2. Hold on one second, Scott.
Hey,
Scott on line 2.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, just real quick, the statement that Luna and his department put out last night had 3 just flat-out lies in it. Actually, 2 lies and 1 falsehood. Number 1, his signature isn't on any social media statement his department makes, and the reason it's not is because the L.A. Council and the mayor run his department. That's number 1. Number 2, they talked about the department maintaining professionalism, integrity, and not wanting to lose the trust of the Angelenos that they serve. And I would argue that 6 to 8 years of not enforcing the law has already created that. And then the third thing I would say is the biggest lie, is they said they don't comment on foreign policy. Well, yeah, you kind of did. So this is baked in, you know. In the end, if the Marxist ideology meets its end in California, the civilian law enforcement will be thrown on the chopping block. They're the last line that is gotten rid of in geopolitical history, if you look at it. They're emptying the prisons. They're not enforcing law. They're creating social chaos in neighborhoods. And Luna is a part of that. And that should scare everybody in Los Angeles, that the guy in charge of law enforcement, the county sheriff, is directly tied at the hip to the ideology of the nuts running this state. And you have a great morning, Grant.
I appreciate it, Scott. Appreciate that big time. All right, holding on the line, a former Iranian hostage. It's our friend Razi. We're going to go out to her in a moment. But folks, before we get to that point, I want you to consider the lack of judgment on behalf of people working inside the L.A. County Sheriff's Department, that they would offer up a statement offering their hearts going out to the victims and families affected by the Iranian bombings. Okay? And my heart does not go out to the supreme leader or any Ayatollah in Iran. And calling it a tragic event, the real tragedy here is that you've got this lunatic as sheriff. But again, this is who you elect. So in many respects, this is your fault, people of Los Angeles. Of course, some present company excluded in this. All of you didn't vote for this idiot. Some of you may have. And if you did, how are you feeling about it now? Now, here's the other situation. We talked about who's in this country, who's on student visas that have overstayed their welcome? What about some of the imams in this country that after the attacks are offering up, I'm not even going to call it rhetoric, because rhetoric I tend not to believe. They are offering up threats to America. You want to hear some of them? I will play some of those next, plus we'll hear from an Iranian hostage, former Iranian hostage. Let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. Why are you with the big three cell phone companies? They're literally doing everything they can to ruin America with the woke policies, the DEI nonsense, funding places like Planned Parenthood. But if you get with Patriot Mobile, you get America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And if you use my promo code GRANT at patriotmobile.com/Grant, you'll get a free month service, which is a big savings. So just call Patriot Mobile at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and do what I did. Make the switch. In fact, my phone has two networks, one phone. So I have two lines on this phone. No cell phone company can do this because you choose what network you want to be on, but you don't pay the woke cell phone companies. You go with Patriot Mobile, and you know that a portion of the proceeds they make from your cell phone service are going to fund an agenda that's conservative, that's moving us in the right direction, that supports conservative causes. This is what I love about Patriot Mobile. If you're still with the other cell phone companies, I'm going to ask you why, and I'd ask you respectfully, make the switch today. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT, as I said, for a free month service. 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Make sure you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. So look, the reaction is mixed on the strike on Iran. It's not mixed in my mind. I am so proud of this United States military. I'm so proud of President Trump. I think it needed to be done. I am not one who falls into the camp of somehow saying we're going to be such an isolationist, you're going to bury your head in the sand and ignore a clear and present threat to the United States. It is the most America first thing you could do as a president, is to keep America safe by taking out the capabilities of an enemy to attack you. Now, with that, there are other people who are celebrating this move. Of course they are, because it's been a long time coming. One of them, you may recognize her, Rosie from Woodland Hills. She's a longtime caller to this program. She was also an Iranian hostage. And Rosie, I have to imagine that you were hailing this as a huge success over the weekend, Rosie.
All I can say is, wow, I am so happy. I had to cry. These people, the supreme leader who is still saying death to America, wants to kill us. I have talked about this since 1978, 1979. This is so awful. This is such an incredible operation of the Air Force, I'll say. We were part of the Air Force. This is so incredible. Think about it. These two B-52s going in there, flying straight in, all the refueling they had to do to get there, to take out their nuclear targets and bombs. It was so unbelievable. I am so proud of them. I thank God every day for this.
All right,
I have
Rosie,
prayed all these. Yes.
Rosie, let me ask you, take me back a little bit and remind viewers your situation in Iran when you were basically held hostage there.
Okay, when we got there, the August 30th of 1978, the Iranian Revolution started. That is the true date. That is the historical date. And it took me 4 days to find my apartment. And once I moved in, I either got calls or they were on my phone telling me they were going to kill me and all Americans every single day until the day that we left in December. There was bullets passing my window every night. There was Molotov cocktails going off. We didn't know if they were going to kill us, where they were going to kill us, which road we could take was safe. My children went to school with curtains on the bus's windows because if they knew they were American children, they would have killed them.
What city was this in, Rosie?
What?
What city was this in?
Tehran.
In Tehran. Okay. So can you tell our Democrat friends out there, I actually don't really have many of them, but if you could tell them, what do the Iranian leadership, the IRGC, the Ayatollahs, the supreme leader, their views of women and gays? Can you fill us in on that?
Okay, when I got there, I sat on my balcony. I put, the chairs out, and the Iranian women would come down the street, and they were waving, welcoming, and they were in Western clothes. And every day after that, more and more of them were in the chadors, which is the long cover-up that they were wearing. Every day. It was so awful. Once the chador went on, that was the end of their rights as women. Just like the Democrats are doing in this country with the swimmers. Just like the Democrats are doing to us, women. I am sick and tired of it. I never wore a chador. I never wore a mask for COVID. I refuse to do all that. No one is taking away my rights.
All right, Rosie, lastly, when you were there in Tehran, I would imagine you feared for your life.
Yes, I did, and I thought my children were going to die. We had soldiers guarding us with big machine guns, and I never knew if they were going to turn the machine gun on me or themselves. One of them shot his hand off. But I thought I was really going to die. It was a terrible experience. But here, our Democrats from the United States have sent billions and billions of dollars to Iran, cash, mind you, to Iran, to pump them up so they could be making these terrible bombs. It is so disgusting. And now they're speaking up. They don't have any right to speak up to kill us, but this is their MO. They've done this in America against freedom for women, freedom for our own country. They want to take us over. They opened up the border, the southern border. They don't care what happens here. I don't
Rosie,
know who they are, what side.
Last question, because people may be interested. How did you end up getting out of Iran?
Well, you'll never go. It was me. We had to sign up. President Carter, who is in his own space in hell now, he had us all sign up because he didn't want anybody in the world to know this was going on, but everybody did know. So we signed up for the first day. We went with the children to the airport to fly out on a military aircraft, and no planes came in, nothing. So we went back home, took the children home, and I said, I'm not going to die here. I went over to the Gulf District, which was the Iranian military district, and they put a mirror under my car to make sure I didn't have a bomb under my car, and finally let me in. And all I did over there was scream that we were going to die. We're all going to come out and die. That's all I said. We're all going to come out and die, and I don't want to die. And I just kept saying it. And by the next day, the plane was there, the big C-5A, which is so exciting to be evacuated on. And the evacuation started. And when my husband then was given his medal, he said it should have been for me.
Wow. Well, it's an amazing story, Rosie. I'm so glad to have you as a friend and a friend of this program. And your story is one I'm glad we told it today of all days. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can I tell you something?
Real quick.
You know what
Yes.
makes a great fighter pilot, Grant?
Tell me.
You know what makes it's your zipper. You can practice. You know, it's a zipper up and down. A great fighter pilot. I still have a sense of humor, and everybody out there, you must have a sense of humor, but you must fight this. Our own government with the Dems want to destroy us, and we're not going to let it happen.
No, we can't. Rosie, thank you so much for the phone call. I appreciate you calling in today. Thank you. All right, folks, as we move forward here, that's a powerful story. That's somebody who's going to say, you know what, they've been waiting, since 1979? For us to drop some bombs on Iran. Now, this was very strategic. We didn't hit civilians. We didn't just willy-nilly just lob bombs in wherever they fall. Doesn't matter. This is what Iran is now doing back to Israel. Well, there are, as I mentioned, imams in this country that are calling for all kinds of awful things. I went through the platform X last night to try to find some audio of this to prove of where these people stand and why it is so important that we either keep eyes on these folks. If they're here illegally or overstayed visas, we got to get them out. And we got to make sure that we're safe here on the home front. Because this is my biggest fear, is a terrorist attack. I do not think we are going to, in fact, I know there is not going to be some widespread global conflict, which is what the left wants you to believe, including this Thomas Massey, the congressman from Kentucky. We got to get into him a little bit as well. President Trump cutting him off at the knees, knocking him down a few pegs. John Jubilee, welcome to the program.
Great to be here, Grant.
All right, so 5 days, 5 pounds, $5 guaranteed. How do you do it with such success? I mean, you got, what is it now, a 99% success rate on this?
Hey, come on, don't short me there. It's 99.1.
All right.
But yeah, we know how to make the body metabolize this stuff. We know how to make the body metabolize it. And it's one of the funnest things Chelsea and I get to do is the 5-5-5 challenge, because it's like a long cup of coffee. You know, we're just going to sit down with you. It's less than an hour a day. It's less than a cup of coffee. It's $5. But the beautiful thing is it's a holistic approach. We're going to talk about, you know, what is the mental aspect? What is the spiritual aspect? You know, how does cellular trauma affect us? You know, if our parents had a divorce or we had a divorce, or maybe went through other traumatic experiences in our life when we were young or when we got older, we get in depth, Grant, during this 5 days, and we help people understand, you know, what are the 5 reasons that they failed in the past? What are the 5 things to never do again so that they never fail again? And then the good news is, and then what are we going to do in the future to make sure that we can guarantee optimal health at the cellular level?
Well, it's amazing. You told me you could do it with me, and you did. I lost 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks. I've kept it off. I have more energy. My joint pain is going away. My testosterone levels went up as well. So let me run through this. First off, the website, my555challenge.com, starts tonight, folks. So I would urge people, sign up. There's no waiting. It's going to start tonight, and you can get right into this. But we talk about people with diabetes have been helped by this. People with menopause have been helped by this. Asthma has been helped by this. Skin conditions helped by this. Brain fog helped by this. Energy levels helped by this. So my question to you is, it sounds so great. Do doctors come to your clients and say, there's no way, I don't trust them? What are you doing? This isn't medically sound? Because this should put doctors out of business everywhere, John.
Well, I'm happy to report it is the exact reverse of that. It's the reverse, because here's what happens, Grant, is let's just say there's a woman, she's going to a thyroid doctor for 10 years. And all of a sudden her thyroid reverses. And now her doctor looks at her, or somebody with high blood pressure for 20 years or diabetes for 20 years. They all reverse on our protocol. And then their doctor actually asks them, what in the world have you done? Then the doctors call us and say, can you please explain to us scientifically, medically, how in the world did my client reverse diabetes or diverticulitis or spinal stenosis or IBS or gout or Meniere's disease or rheumatoid arthritis, whatever it is. And the thing these doctors end up saying to us, and this is a quote from multiple doctors, they say, John Jubilee, you cracked the code. You cracked the code of health and wellness. This is what we should be learning in med school. You are going to the root cause and reversing these illnesses and diseases. This is what we all need to learn. Wow. So I'm happy to say, Grant, we have many doctors that have come into our family at Energized Health, and they say we cracked the code.
Wow. I mean, it really is amazing. And you have literally hundreds of testimonials on your website. I urge people to go find somebody that looks and sounds like them, or we're dealing with something, and listen to these testimonies. You've got all walks of life, from young folks to old folks and everything in between.
No, there really is. They're from 9 to 92. Had a couple 92 years old. They did it. And a year later, the woman at 93 was elected mayor of her city. The man won the national championship for rowing for 70 and over at 93 years old. Yeah, we have stories for everybody. You know, a testimony, Grant, is indisputable. You know, people can argue theories and all of these type of things, but when it comes to a testimonial, it's indisputable. And we have tens of thousands of documented testimonies, high blood pressure, diabetes, people that were scheduled to have a hip replacement, have a knee replacement, canceled their surgery, shoulder replacement, canceled their surgery. We have these documented tens of thousands for 28 years now, and you can have your best health. You can have your best health. You can have what all these people have if you just do what they did, and it starts with a 555.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm one of those testimonials because what you did for me was turn my life around. I was already in pretty decent shape, but boy, it tuned it up. And how I feel with energy levels now and less pain, the joint pain especially, has been nothing short of amazing. And I'll tell you this. I had gone on all kinds of diets, from the Atkins diet to the Scarsdale diet, to all these things, and they would work. But as everybody knows, you lose it in the end. This I didn't lose in the end, and this has been, I don't know, it's probably almost a year now we've been doing this together, John, and we're still going strong here, and that's a big tribute to you, the folks at Energized Health. So grateful to you. Again, the website is the my555challenge.com. It's on the screen right under John's name there, my555challenge.com. Sign up today because you're starting classes tonight, and it's great. John, last word?
Yeah, last word, Grant, is I would just encourage everybody, hey, we've all been on diets. They all work for a minute, right? They all work for a minute. But then, just like what you said, in the end, we end up gaining more weight than we lost, and they're not sustainable. Guys, this is simple. This is scientific. It's sustainable. 28 years, not one medical doctor visit. 28 years, same shape and size. 28 years, got stronger every year of my life for the last 28 years, and you can have your best health. So you got nothing to lose, guys, except for 5 pounds of fat. So come and join us. Get in on this tonight. Make an investment in yourself. Come on, value yourself.
So I promise people will not regret it. I know you guarantee it. I'm going to guarantee you can send me all kinds of nasty emails if you're not happy with it. And I promise you, I've done this before. Nobody sends me nasty emails, John, and that's a tribute to you. So God bless you, brother. God bless Energized Health. And I'll give people the website one more time right underneath John's name there. It's the my555challenge.com, my555challenge.com. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Grant.
So President Trump literally unloaded on Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky over his opposition to the Iran strikes. President Trump saying he will campaign very hard against him. That's a quote. And that MAGA doesn't want him. Now, I have been a strong proponent over the weekend, and I'm trying to make sure that all of you out there realize President Trump's move to bomb Iran is the most America First thing he could do, probably the most consequential America First decision he's made. But Thomas Massey doesn't agree. Thomas Massey, though, has been in the way. He's been a thorn in the side of not just President Trump. Thomas Massey and his causing problems for some of the things that I've been pushing as conservative go all the way back to my days at the NRA. The National Rifle Association, when it was at its height of strength, when I was there, by the way, and I don't consider that to be too much of a coincidence, when the NRA was at its strength and we were rocking and rolling, Thomas Massey was getting in the way of all kinds of very important legislation. This goes back to when President Trump, in his first year of his first term, had a unified government. And Thomas Massey was getting in the way of gun legislation. And I remember leaders of the NRA going crazy over this guy. Well, President Trump has reached the end of his rope. Quote, Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky is not MAGA. even though he likes to say he is. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, doesn't respect him, the president said, labeling him a simple-minded grandstander. Well, this is what President Trump goes on to say in his Truth Social post about Massey. The good news is that we will all have a wonderful American patriot running against him in the Republican primary, and I'll be out in Kentucky campaigning really hard. Now, apparently, President Trump's political arm is already out there trying to recruit someone to run against Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey, again, getting in the way of the big, beautiful bill, getting in the way of President Trump and trying to unify the country at a very trying time when we've dropped bombs on a foreign nation, something no president ever wants to do. But Thomas Massey, of course, is going to now be the hero of the mainstream media, the darling of the media. Play cut 32 for me, if you will.
What he promised us was we would put America first. And I think there are still voices in this administration. You've still got J.D. Vance. You've still got Tulsi Gabbard. You still RFK Jr. You still got calmer heads that could prevail.
They were not persuasive in this case, clearly.
Well, somebody was persuasive. AIPAC is very persuasive. For instance, the Israeli lobby in Congress. If you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same. They're all tweeting the same message that we've got to support Israel and we've got to do this.
Look, I'm not a member of AIPAC, and I'm tweeting that because it's common sense. It's what Republicans believe. Now, there are some of my Republican colleagues that did not want to get in this war. They believe that Israel was dragging America into this. I am not a believer of that. It doesn't mean we can't disagree. It doesn't mean that I don't have great respect for those voices that I disagree with, i.e. Tucker Carlson, i.e. Look, I'm looking at him right now. I've got the feed up to Real America's Voice, my TV network. And Steve Bannon's getting ready for his show on War Room. Him and I disagree on this, but he's still a good friend of mine. We can disagree and not argue about stuff. So there is opposition to this, but I think now that the bombs have been dropped, the arguing over whether we should do it or not is behind us. That's done. So you might as well move forward because, look, here's the difference between a President Trump and a Democrat president. We don't shower Iran with cash. We shower Iran with bunker busters. And you better believe there's a big difference on that front. Let's go out to line 3. Steve in Arcadia. Steve, what say you?
Hey, good morning, Grant. I don't know if people remember a few years back, Biden was still in office, and they were apprehending people at the border. And there was this one guy, I believe he was a Middle Eastern guy, very mysterious circumstances. But I do remember his quote, and that was, "You don't know who I am now, but soon you will." And I've always remembered that. And I think even today now it's more appropriate because it's symbolic of who has come into this country under that miserable President Biden.
Yeah. It is a frightening prospect to think about who just may be here. And I appreciate the phone call, Steve. And you raise a very, very good point on that front. Tom Homan talked about this. And he talked about the open borders and what it means for this nation and how challenging it is about this and the Iranian sleeper cells. If you could, Dan, the phone man, cut 21 for me. That's Tom Homan talking about the intelligence community.
The intelligence community under President Trump has been on this since day one. What gives me any comfort at all is that you don't have Christopher Wray there. You got Kash Patel there. You don't have Alejandro Mayorkas there anymore. You got Kristi Noem, and you certainly don't have Kamala Harris as a border czar. So President Trump brought a great team, been on this since day one. Do we know where every one of the 2 million are? No. We don't know who they all are. We don't know why they're here, where they came from. But we do know Border Patrol intelligence for the last 4 years, they found prayer mats south of the border. They found identification from people from Iran, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Syria, south of the border. So we know that some terrorists have crossed that border. We'd be a fool to think zero cross. The thing is, though, we got President Trump as a commander-in-chief who's put all resources on this. That's why President Trump, from day one, ICE operations, despite what the left media says, he has been focused on national security threats and public safety threats. And between ICE and the Bureau, we've removed thousands of national security threats because of President Trump's leadership on this.
Yeah. And that's the good news. And so who's screaming and yelling about President Trump and Tom Homan rounding up illegals? You have Democrats like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, by the way, now is claiming President Trump's a warmonger, screaming and yelling that we shouldn't be involved here. Well, where was she when Barack Obama was bombing Libya and Somalia and even Pakistan? AOC wasn't anywhere to be found. Oh, neither was Thomas Massey, by the way. Don't forget, we ran big-time bombing campaigns in those countries under Democrat presidents like Barack Obama, and AOC had nothing to say about it. Now, all of a sudden, Operation Midnight Hammer, they're all up in arms and outraged. Makes me outraged to think about it. It's such hypocrisy. I mean it, they were sending cash, showering Iran with cash. I'd rather shower them with bunker busters. I really would. So I will say this, though. I was not that impressed with the satellite imagery. I don't know, but I guess because it went below the ground, hopefully the damage is all done underground, but I was somewhat shocked to see it didn't look like much difference. As the media is telling me, look at the dramatic difference in the satellite imagery. I don't know, but I do know you drop 30,000-pound bunker busters and you run, what was it, 7 B-2 bombers and 14 of these bombs dropped, you're going to do some serious damage. You don't have to worry about that. That I guarantee. All right, folks, I'm going to tell you something that's absolutely gross. There are parasites. There are most likely parasites living in your body. I have started this parasite cleanse from the Wellness Company, and I am so grateful that I have. 60 million Americans living with parasites. To me, absolutely disgusting. They live in your brain. They live in your spine. They can get in your organs. They can cause cancer. Apparently now, after I'm looking at this, parasites are causing skin cancer. So the Wellness Company has this parasite cleanse. It's fabulous. TWC.health/grant is where I want you to go. Some of your drinking water is infected with parasites. Look, the food that you get, fish that you get at the grocery store, worms crawling in it. Again, these take up residence in your body. The Wellness Company has sold out 3 times on this parasite cleanse. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. There's a reason they're selling out with this ivermectin and mebendazole concoction that will rid your body of parasites. Just get with the Wellness Company, TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. Get back to being healthy. Lose the brain fog. Increase the energy. Make sure those parasites are out. And I believe protect yourself from cancer as well. TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for free activation. Promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you. We will see you back here tomorrow.